In a world that feels like it's teetering on the edge, wars, disasters, and uncertainty all around, what does it mean to trust in God's promises? In this week's sermon, we dive into Mark 13 and the unsettling imagery of apocalyptic times. But rather than despair, we'll hear a powerful message of hope inspired by the refrain of St. Julian of Norwich: all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Together, we'll discover how Jesus calls us to prepare, to trust, and to see God's presence even in the chaos.
So I suppose it's fitting for us to end up right back here in Mark chapter 13 this morning. We were in it all, so at the beginning of this year as we've journeyed through the Gospel of Mark. I confess that these last couple of weeks leading up to Advent are not my favorite in the lectionary cycle of readings. We get these apocalyptic passages, these very strange readings that look towards the end of things before Jesus comes back. Wars, rumors of wars, the sun becomes darkened, the moon doesn't give off its light, things are shaken up. This type of writing is often so foreign to us, and it sounds like doomsday has arrived. But apocalyptic literature is often written in the middle of things happening around you, whether it was the Babylonians invading, like in Daniel's time, or the temple being destroyed in Mark's time by the Romans. There's a ton of stuff going on. There's a ton of stuff going on all around us, too. Racism, classism, sexism, the astronomical prices at the grocery store, changes in the political administration, worry over climate change, our health, and the lives of our family and friends. Sometimes you can argue it seems like we're in the end of times, but we're not. Yet. As we approach the reign of Christ Sunday next week and Advent the week after, we look for Jesus. We prepare for Jesus. Jesus will come and show the surprising reign and love of God, but we have to keep watch for him because he'll come suddenly and we want to be prepared. These apocalyptic readings try and deal with how all of these things can be happening. Where is God? What do we have to hope for? And again, we find ourselves asking the very same questions. In our reading from the beginning of chapter 13 of Mark, we have come out of the temple with Jesus and the disciples after watching the widow last week who puts in these 2 small coins for all that she has to live on. The vantage point is about to change, but first, the disciples look around and admire the grandeur of the temple. Look, teacher, what large stones and what large buildings. The Reverend Dr. Frederick Nieder wrote this week. This temple that had stood for some 400 years was as magnificent as anything on earth at the time. 150 feet tall, made of stones the size of semi-trailers. Here was a sign of permanence, God certainly, but also of God's people. Now as it happened when Babylon destroyed the first temple, they saw the end of everything and it plunged the nation into God-forsakenness. When I hear all of this, I can't help but think of St. Julian of Norwich. She barely lived through the bubonic plague and watched the death of so many of her family and friends, but she still had the presence of mind to see hope. She offers us her famous phrase, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. That's going to be our refrain for this morning, dear friends. As dark as these readings may seem, the truth is that Jesus is present right there. God is with us. That's what we have to hold on to and proclaims the church. God is with us, then, now, and forever. I had the opportunity in high school to go overseas to Italy with my Latin teacher and a group of her friends and other students. We did the typical tourist type stuff. We saw the Colosseum in Rome. We threw our 3 coins in the Trevi Fountain, got accosted by a lady who was selling flowers and wouldn't let us get by her until we bought all of them from her. But then we went to one of my favorite places, the Vatican. I remember being in St. Peter's Basilica and the tour guide was telling us about different things in the history, but then they said to look at the lettering around the base of the dome. The lettering itself is 9 feet tall. The size is overwhelming, just like many other cathedrals throughout Europe were designed to feel. just like the great stones that caught the eye of the disciples the day when they left the temple. Jesus burst their bubble. Not one stone will be left here upon another. All will be thrown down. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. They leave and they climb the Mount of Olives that overlooks the temple and the city. Peter, James, John, and Andrew ask Jesus, "So when will this be, and how are we going to know it?" That's what we all want to know, right? When's the end of the world? How much time do I have to do the things on my bucket list? Jesus responds with the hard truth of our lives. We aren't promised that things will be easy. Jesus warns the disciples against people who will capitalize on the chaos all around them. They deceive others, they lead people astray, and they claim false truths like they alone can save the people. When chaos surrounds us, and whatever it is, rumors of wars, kingdoms rising against kingdoms, earthquakes, famines, flooding, tsunamis, and hurricanes, people will start to grasp at things and ask, "Where is God?" All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. God is right here with us. Jesus makes sure to remind us of that and show us over and over again so that we know it. So what if the temple falls? So what if we experience all of that stuff? It isn't the end of the world. It's just the beginning of the birth pangs. Just some Braxton Hicks contractions that tell us that something good is coming. What is that something good? It's a beautiful new life where God is in charge, bringing hope, healing, and restoration to the chaos in our world. Trust in the promises of God, dear friends, and keep alert for the signs of God's presence all around us. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Amen. That's this week's episode of Peace Lutheran Sermons podcast. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.